A lot of parents tell me, especially moms, that it feels like their daughters are in control of the relationship. And sometimes they just say things like, "Oh, are you my friend today?" And they just never seem to really know which version of their daughter is going to show up. And so if that sounds like a scenario maybe going on in your world now, then this series is dedicated to you. Thank you for joining. My name is Tahira Bell. This is 12 days of communication and confidence for parents who want to improve communication with a confident teen girl. And today's topic is one that is huge. It really could stand alone as its own topic in its own video series. So I'm going to try to be selective in what I share and really hit the highlights for what I see the most with the girls that I work with. I've literally been working with teens since I was a teen. I started out as a teacher, then a curriculum writer and a workshop facilitator in my foundation. And now one of my favorite titles is being a life coach. And I only work with teen girls in this way. So I really have a good grasp on what they need, what they're going through, and how to really support them in this journey through the very challenging teen years. So what we're going to dive into tonight is how to help raise her to be a confident communicator. And if she isn't already, learning how to and really practicing how to advocate for herself or speak up for herself, then it's time to really give her more opportunities to practice, okay? That's exactly what I'm going to share some ideas with you tonight about. And I'm going to give you some very practical ways that even just now over the holidays, you can work with her and teach her how to communicate with confidence, all right? So tonight, we had the opportunity to hang out with some friends. It was my family and another family. And, we spent a couple hours together just catching up because we don't get to see each other often. And today was kind of a crazy day. So many just unexpected things happened today. But I actually was thinking about what I was going to share about this topic and really paid attention to what I was doing. So I have a son who just loves to act silly, be the center of attention. He loves to be funny. And so what do? We refer to him as the funny one, the silly one, the one that always wants to be the center of attention, right? And lo and behold, he's living up exactly to that. And so I was thinking about that as it pertains to what we're talking about tonight, because what happens is we have this really unintentional tendency as parents to label our children. And you know what I'm talking about, right? Maybe yours is the shy one. Maybe she's the smart one. Maybe she's the diva, the quiet one. What we're doing when we're labeling our children in that way is literally, even when it's harmless, right? We're shaping their identity. And one of the things that I work with girls, I have a program where I work with them for 6 weeks. It's called Conquering Confidence. And one of the things that we talk about, I was just thinking about this tonight, was how in order for them to get where they want to be, if they're one of those girls who's been labeled in a way that isn't really what they want or isn't helping them get where they want, really is what it is, the first thing they have to do is release the label. And so the girls that join me in this program are all there for one reason. They want to be confident. Or at least their parents want them to be confident, right? And so we start talking about what they would have to do or who they would have to become to be a more confident version of themselves. And so we go through different scenarios because it's a group program. And so they're all sharing just different experiences and different things that they feel they need to overcome, right, in order to be more confident. How they need to speak, how they need to carry themselves, how they need to make decisions, how they need to interact in their relationships, right? And one thing that comes up every single time, it never fails, when I ask the question, well, how would a confident girl do this? Or what would a confident girl do or not do? They always say she wouldn't be nervous in some situation. Now, the situation varies. It could be when speaking in front of a class. It could be when walking up to a group of her peers. It could be when addressing a parent or addressing a teacher or giving a presentation. But it always comes up. And so that's why I wanted to share with you tonight what you can do to help your teen be a more confident communicator. Because in all of those scenarios, all of the examples that the girls share with me, that is what they have to learn. How to communicate, not just with the words coming out of their mouth, right? But through their body language, through what they talk about, through what they think about, what they believe. How do you communicate with confidence? And so some of these you've heard before, but I'm just going to state them quickly because they're important, right? Confident body language. You know what it is. So it's something you can start watching to see if your daughter has. Does she smile, right? That's one of the easiest things that you can do. Does she make eye contact? Is she engaged in conversations? Does she lean in and look like she's genuinely interested, right? Because when you're thinking about communicating with confidence, you want to convey to other people that you're approachable. And you can do that without even saying a word, right? What kind of posture do you have? Is it open and inviting, or is it kind of a little bit more closed off? You know, can you smile even with your eyes, right? Can you nod your head in agreement to show that you're actually listening and paying attention? Notice what situations your daughter seems to be a little more nervous in, a little more uncomfortable, right? And then you can take those opportunities to point out what it would look like to be more confident. You can model that for her also, okay? I'm not going to do a whole lot with body language, but that's a big piece of it, right? Here's another piece. What do confident people talk about? Hey, Stacy, you're a night owl like me. Actually, really, I'm not. It's just super late tonight. But anyway, here we are, right? What do confident people talk about? Okay? Not themselves, right? You know, girls always say they don't want to be stuck up. They don't want to be perceived as too arrogant, right? And we all know that that person that's so insecure that all they could talk about is themselves, that loud, obnoxious kind of confidence, that is not what we want, right? That's not what we're talking about here. So instead, what does that quiet confidence look like? What is it to really come across as self-assured? That's what really makes other people feel more comfortable around you. That's what really makes other people feel comfortable approaching you, speaking to you, right? So even in your own relationships within your families, with your daughter, is that what you're conveying? Are you open? Are you inviting? You can practice these things and see how she responds to you and if she responds any differently, okay? So one of the things I teach the girls when they're working through this is how to take the pressure off of themselves, right? How to focus on making someone else comfortable. What do you do when you're trying to make someone else comfortable? If you focus on that, it takes away some of that nervousness, right? And so when we talk about ways to do that, it looks like being genuinely curious, asking questions, again, making that eye contact, smiling, right? Not making all of the self-deprecating kind of comments, right? Because doesn't it make you feel uncomfortable when someone just constantly beats themselves up, right? It really makes the other person feel uncomfortable. They don't know how to respond to that, right? So you don't want to do that. You don't want to lead with that negative kind of stuff, right? When you think about making, okay, let me see. There's the chat. I guess I try to find something. Yes, that's exactly. Find a way to connect, how to find something in common as a way to really connect with them, right? So 2 really specific things that you can do, because remember, you've got the holidays, they're home, you may be traveling, and I'd love for you to just have some practical ideas that you can literally try over the holidays with your daughter. 2 of the things that come up a lot that I see with girls that also will help them become more confident as a communicator is to, number 1, learn how to take a compliment, and number 2, how to say what you have to say without apologizing for it, okay? So let me tell you what this looks like, because we're all guilty. As women, I mean, just pay attention the next time somebody tells you, oh, your hair is cute, girl, that's a cute outfit. What do you say? Do you say thank you and smile? I hope so. That conveys confidence, right? Accept the compliment. What do we tend to do instead a lot? Oh, this outfit, I've had this forever. This whole thing, right? All of that. If you see your daughter getting a compliment and then, responding with maybe something negative or just putting herself down, even if she says thank you, address that. Tell her it's okay to say thank you. And that's it. Right? What about over apologizing? I talk to girls about this all the time. When you hear them say things like, I'm sorry, but, and then they say what they have to say. Or, whatever they're saying. And I'm like, I'm really sorry, but it's just that I really wanted to tell you. And, I'm sorry, but remember we talked about showing her that you value her and helping her value herself. That also means that what she's saying is important. What she has to say matters. So don't apologize for it, okay? And girls do it a lot. If you listen to them speak, they do it a lot. So if you see that that's your daughter, let her know, because it's not something she's thinking about. Just say, hey, listen, you don't have to apologize. Say what you have to say. What you have to say matters. I want to hear what you have to say, okay? Don't apologize for it. So those are 2 simple things, okay? Thank you, excuse me, and no, I'm sorry, but, all right? Even if people disagree, okay? You don't have to agree with someone else. You can still say what you have to say, right? Learning how to really communicate with confidence takes a lot of practice. I work on this myself a lot, constantly, all the time, okay? And this is one area where I do say to girls that it's okay if you have to fake it till you make it, all right? And I do not like to say that a lot. Or literally what I tell them is act as if, okay? So I'm going to break that down for you. In order to really communicate confidently, you have to practice. And you're not going to feel confident right away. So what I tell them is to just act as if you are. Pretend. And then the more you do it, the more you adopt those confident mannerisms, confident body language, confident conversation, right? Some of the things we just talked about. It'll become more and more natural, and eventually, with practice, you'll feel more confident. So it's okay in this case to act as if you are, even if you're not, because you have to get there somehow. So you may have to pretend until you feel actually comfortable with all of the things that we're talking about, okay? Here are some things that she can actually practice. Let me look at my notes so I don't forget anything. Do you have a girl who's really passionate about something? Okay. One thing, if you can bring things up that she's passionate about and she can really speak from the heart, it's going to be great practice for her because she's naturally going to come off as more confident. It's hard to speak from the heart and not speak with passion, right? And then speaking with passion just shows confidence because you know what you're talking about. If you're passionate about it, you know what you're talking about, okay? So that's something you can encourage her to do if you see her in, situations where she's a little nervous. If you can bring up a conversation about that thing that she really cares about, let her talk about it, okay? Do you have a daughter who's naturally funny? Does she have a sense of humor? I have a client who it took me forever to even see this side of her. She has this amazing sense of humor, but she holds back a lot. So it doesn't really come across until you get to know her. And so that's something I'm working on with her because she can use that to her advantage. Just like speakers have to practice how to use humor, if you have someone naturally funny, if your daughter just has a natural sense of humor, encourage that. Let her run with it. It really will help her ease some of the tension in those situations where she may be nervous, okay? And if she's laughing, it helps kind of get rid of the nerves, right? Another thing, kind of like finding something in common with someone else, that's really easy that Stacy brought up, right? You can give someone a compliment. Anything, do you like her shoes? Do you like her shirt? Do you like her smile? Like whatever it is. A lot of times when you're uncomfortable, especially in social situations, one thing you can say is that you appreciate and acknowledge something about someone else by giving them a simple compliment, okay? People love to talk about themselves. People love to hear compliments about themselves. So even you as the parent, as you're initiating these conversations and building that connection, give a genuine compliment, right? It just automatically brings, your relationship with one another together and makes you feel closer and connected to that person. Another thing, especially in this season, right? November and December, we talk about it all the time, expressing gratitude. What a great way to build a bond. Anytime that you can express gratitude for something someone else does for you, it's a huge way to connect with a person in a relationship. And it also helps you communicate with confidence. When you can literally look at someone and tell them you appreciate them, they will feel good about themselves. They'll feel good about the interaction. Okay, that's a way of communicating confidently. Now, because I'm speaking to you parents, I want to leave you with a few ideas really specific to you, okay? Because this is something that I think a lot of us are guilty of, myself included. When someone asks your daughter a question, especially when they're younger, right? When, they say, how old are you? Something as simple as that. Do you ever answer for her? Think about it. Oh, we have a question. How do clients come to find you and know about Teen Life? Oh, so, okay, I don't do a lot of advertising like I should, Stacy. I'm working on that. But I have a website. My website is my name, www.tahirabell.com. And people now, especially a lot more than when I started, they literally have been Googling life coach for girls, teen life coach. Most of my clients come through word of mouth from someone who's found me on Google. Thank you for asking. And I'm going to do more marketing in that way. But so far, that's pretty much how people have found me when they've looked for ways to support their daughters. I find a lot of my girls maybe have moms who are at least familiar with life coaching or have had their own life coach. And so they start doing a Google search for what type of life coach would be available to work with their teens. I hope that answers your question. Let me know. Okay. So I was giving you just some specific tips for parents, giving her time to answer the question, right? Instead of answering for her. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, no, it's been working for me so far. So I'm grateful, right? So really, as a tendency sometimes when it seems like maybe she's taking too long to answer the question, what do? We just kind of interject because we know the answer. We know she knows the answer. And we just feel like we have to keep the conversation going. We don't. It's okay. Give her time. Give her that time to answer the question. I know I'm guilty of this a lot. I have to really intentionally just kind of wait and say, he can speak for himself. He knows how old he is, right? So another thing, as your teen, especially if she's driving, right? If she's 16, 17 and she has doctor's appointments and she has appointments with her tutor or just whatever she's doing scheduling wise, she can make those appointments on her own. If she has to schedule her own doctor's appointment, that's giving her an opportunity to have those adult conversations we talked about, right? That's empowering. That's boosting her confidence because one day you can't do that stuff for her. So even something as simple, for those of you with younger girls, as ordering from the menu at a restaurant, those are things where she's practicing communicating with other people that are unfamiliar, that she doesn't know, and she has to convey what she wants. Okay, these are easy things that if you haven't done yet, do it. On Friday nights, you're having a movie night, have her call and order the pizza. You don't have to do that. I mean, she'll probably say there's an app for that, but you know what I mean. Give her those opportunities as often as you can. The more practice she gets, the better she'll be, the more comfortable she'll be, the more confident she'll be. Okay? And here's one other one as you're initiating your conversations with her. When you ask questions, ask open-ended questions, right? That encourages her to talk. That encourages her to express herself, okay? And what we really are looking for is for her to be comfortable expressing herself, for her to be comfortable advocating for herself, for her to be comfortable approaching someone of authority, an authority figure, even if it's just a teacher or, an administrator in her school, someone who you feel like she sees every day and shouldn't be a big deal. Sometimes it is. I would say more often than not, it is. The more opportunities that she's talking and expressing her thoughts, expressing her ideas, expressing her feelings, the easier it will be when it's time for her to, have conversations that are a little more difficult, where she really does have to stand up for herself or advocate for herself in some way, okay? And that's the purpose, all right? So those are just some of the highlights. Again, this is one of those topics that I could talk about forever, but I really wanted to share the things that you can do quickly, easily over the holidays if you haven't already. As always, if you have questions, if you have more ideas, feel free to comment, send me a message. Those of you who I've been hearing from, thank you so much. I'd love to speak about something that you need help with in your situation. So let me know. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Stacy, for joining, and I will see you all tomorrow. Good night.